G'day everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Wrack City Bitch, Wrack City Bitch, 10, focus on them titties bitch. Thanks to James Morehouse for coming up with the name for this blog. It's called Wrack City Bitch. It's probably the coolest name ever. You're welcome. So, as you would know if you watched the previous episode, today I'm going to be talking about two models. Fiora, Priestess of the Flame, and the avatar of Menoth, the fantastic character Warjack. But we'll start with Fiora. So today, as per usual, I'll just be talking about these briefly with an eye towards playing them in the future. I have had no Menoth experience at this stage. I do not expect to play any games for the next few months. So I'm going to go through all of the models and talk about them and how I see their value and where I see them falling into the competitive spectrum. So I'm going to start by talking about Fiora's stat line, which for a Menoth Warcaster is actually quite exceptional. Defense 15, armor 17. That's solid. That's Crix level stats. And I like the fact that she's got two flame throwers, two spray 8s. The main issue you might find with that is that you probably don't want her to get too aggressive. Even though she's got good stats, she doesn't have a lot of focus at only 6, and so she's not going to be camping a lot. If she gets too uppity, she's going to get killed. So those flamethrowers are probably not going to see a lot of use in the game. I think you'd probably find you're better off using them in the late game to try and squeak out a few key solos and things like that. She does have a good spell which is called Engine of Destruction that you can cast, which actually lets her advance 8 and spray 8. So that's a 16-inch threat, which is pretty solid for a power 12 automatic fire flamethrower. And she's got 2 power strength 13 weapons. You're not going to see her in melee often unless you're putting up Engine of Destruction and it's really late in the game. So the main thing that you want to focus on is a couple of the things that you'll actually see in the game, in the early stages at least, which is her feat. And then she's got quite a few decent spells, Ignite being the main one, but then also Blazing Effigy, which is quite good. So with her feat, it's a strong feat if you're playing against an infantry heavy army, but again, you've got that issue if you don't want it to get too far forward. So in a way, you sort of need your opponent to bring his forces into you. So it's probably lost a fair bit of value with Colossals and the anti-infantry meta that's out there at the moment. There's the only infantry that sort of sees play nowadays tends to be either super high armor like your Iron Fang Pikeman with Iron Zeal, which the fire gets around, of course, but tough models, and tough is one thing that does sort of get past fire. But it's still a fairly useful feat if you can set something like the Tempest Blazes on fire. I think that'd be a worthwhile use of your feat. Even if you only get 3 or 4 of them, it could save you a lot of pain down the track. I hate Tempest Blazes; they're my least favourite unit at the moment. I fucking want to smash those guys every time I play against them. They're fucking killing me. I'm watching football in the background, by the way, so if you see my eyes go like this, it's 4-0 at the moment. So there's a fight on. Okay, so the next spell that I think is actually really, really strong is Blazing Effigy, and it's a cost 4 spell, which is huge, but enemy models within 2 inches of the target Warjack suffer a power 14 damage roll. Yes, Adjudicator is a target-friendly Warjack, which means you could have Blazing Effigy affect a very, very large area. And given that you can do this after you run with a Warjack, it's got quite a decent sort of threat range and could perhaps do something a bit unexpected. So it's definitely not something you want to bank your strategy around, but having that up your sleeve is pretty useful, I think, and definitely something I'd keep in mind. So the other ones are all a bit average. Wall of Fire is interesting. I can see that being used to block off certain sections of the board, protecting certain models. It is an upkeep, so it does stay in play, which is cool. Immolation, bit rubbish, and Hexhammer probably not something you would bother casting unless you're coming up against a, like a lot of druids, like a druid with an opponent that has 2 units of druids in like a tier list like Mosar or something like that, or 2 units of battle mages or something like that. Not massive anyway. And then Engines of Destruction, it's alright. It's a decent sort of spell. If you get your caster up into melee and you don't end, you're probably going to die because she's going to have armor 17 and defense 15 and nothing else. So I think I can see why pFeora doesn't get a lot of play. She's got a few strategies that she can implement during the game, but on the whole, she's just a fairly basic, sort of simplistic caster that just doesn't really add a lot to the Menoth style of play, I don't think. This is just me speaking from a perspective of never played her. I've never played against her in a game either. Actually, that's not true. I think I played her once and I smashed the guy who played me. But happens all the time. I smash everyone. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'll be rushing to put pFeora out in my list of models to have a crack with. It's probably fair to say that Ignite and Blazing Effigy are 2 money spells, and her feat is going to do not an awful lot against the majority of lists at the moment. But she's definitely got some interesting things. Yeah. I'm just an overall meh, to be honest. So let's find out what Chain Attack rated her, because I'm interested to know. pFeora, Priestess of the Flame. And the answer is a C-. Yep. I don't think I disagree with that. 3 feet, pretty... Feet could be rated high, to be honest. It's probably a 4 or 5. Board control, not much. Synergy, not much. Aggression, not much. Survivability, 7. For a Menoth caster, she's pretty survivable. So, I think I pretty much agree with that assessment. Well done, Chain Attack. So we'll talk about the next model now, the Avatar of Menoth. Now, the reason why I've selected the Avatar to talk about with pFeora, absolutely no idea. I'm hopefully going to increase the number of models I talk about in future episodes, which is going to maybe include some solos and some units as well. But for today, I'm just going to do the Avatar, and I guess I wanted to pair the Avatar with Fiora because I wanted to be excited about something. This guy is a fucking legend. Like, I'm sure everyone's played against the Avatar, but try. Yes. Alex Glenn, what a mad dog. So a couple of things that jump out to me about the Avatar straight away. Speed 5 reach is basically the minimum that you want when you're talking about a melee beat stick jack. Power 19 plus potentially the choir benefits takes him to power 21 on a reach magical weapon, which is phenomenal. Terror, incredible. He's got a shield for armor 21, ridiculous. He's then got the extremely annoying Gazer Menoth. If you have never played against a good Avatar / Protectorate player, you don't really understand how frustrating it can be to have like a unit of Zealots in front of the Avatar, preventing you from charging him, but preventing you from going away either. It's just a really frustrating thing to deal with. And then even if you get to him, he's still a 32 box armored 21 model, which is ridiculous. So the downsides of the Avatar is obviously his focus pool, given that you cannot just simply allocate focus to him, you have to rely. And a number of people that I've spoken to have said how frustrating it is to have everything lined up, everything come together, and then have him roll a 2 for focus, meaning you can't really get things done. At worst, when you have 2 focus, you're going to have 1 power strength 21 charge attack, and then potentially 1 after that. Mat 10 though, which is a good thing from the choir, which means he's not going to need boosting to hit in most cases, and if you combine him with some of the buffs that are available, such as Ignite or Crusader's Call, you can get up to fairly respectable threat ranges. A 12-inch charge with Crusader's Call is awesome, although I actually haven't used Crusader's Call from... I better check that that's not just it's not just warrior models. Harvey, tell me you're not warrior models. Crusader's Call. Faction models, yes, it works. Yeah, I mean, Ignite's awesome on it, taking to power 23, pretty ridiculous. He's naturally got Spell Ward, which means you don't have to use the Kawaii buff to put no spells on him. You can put he's actually got Sacred Ward. You can put no shooting, which is awesome. Gets to have the benefits of both. Yeah, I'm super excited to use the avatar. To be honest, it's my style of play tends to be very aggressive, very forcing my opponent into bad trades and using a lot of concentrated force in small areas, and the avatar is that in spades. So I'm keen to try him out with obviously Harbinger. I think that's the natural fit. I'm also keen to maybe try him out with some of the other casters that maybe don't do as much for him. He's kind of like a Deathjack, if you haven't got a lot of focus to spare, you can just pop him in a list and know that he's going to do a pretty good job. So yeah, I'm pretty keen to have a crack with him. The downside to the avatar, of course, is that he's not a member of a battle group. And two of my favourite casters that I look at in this list of Menos casters is Krios 3 and Amon Adrazar. And unfortunately their two main benefits are battle group only, so I don't get to use the avatar with those guys. So I think he'll work well with pFeora, the avatar. I think he pairs quite nicely there. Just gives her a model that she can use. I'm just going to check. Blazing Effigy, because it's not battle group. And just focus that you don't need to worry about fueling. So I think that's pretty good. On the whole, Avatar Menoth, very excited to use him. Very not excited about the model. Gonna have to do some converting there, I think, because his sword's like me. Want to have a massive sword. And I might just quickly speak about the solo, because I decided at the very last second to add another solo, and I'm going to use the solo that comes in the title of this video blog, Wrack. The Wrack City bitch. It's just a focus point. It's pretty easy to talk about racks, really, I guess. You just get focus. Don't blow yourself up. 1 point is good. I think most of my lists will probably include a rack. It's just... I'm a much better War Machine player than I am Hordes player. I don't know why, but I can't quite wrap my head around Fury. I've never been able to manage it properly. Whereas Focus, I'm always able to plan out my turn and understand where I need things. Sort of project what I need to use my Focus for, and I very rarely come up short. I don't know, it's maybe more about the infantry, I guess. I guess I'm a better infantry player. I don't know. I just like Focus. I think it's better. So I'm pretty keen to put racks in pretty much all of my lists, because I think an extra focus point is awesome and pretty useful. So racks, Rack City bitch. Anyway, that might do us for this very, very short episode of Rack City bitch. I'm playing in a tournament tomorrow, which is called the Tin Cup, held down at Irresistible Force in Brisbane. I'll be playing a couple of KDOR lists in preparation for the WTC. This will be my first trial run of a couple of lists that I've got in mind for that, so hopefully I'll do pretty well. But I'm not overly worried at this stage, because I'm still in that experimental phase where I've basically just put some lists together, and this will be the first time I've actually tried them in a competitive format. So pretty excited. Wish me luck, and I will see you next time on Rack City bitch.